The Zephyrian War Council convened in the crystalline chamber, high above their capital city, their chitinous forms casting sharp shadows against the translucent walls. Admiral Vexkar, his 4 arms gesticulating with military precision, addressed the assembly with the gravity befitting their most dire hour. "The humans have rejected our ultimatum," he announced, his voice resonating through the chamber's acoustic amplifiers. "Despite our demonstration on the Kepler colonies, despite witnessing the power of our stellar fleet, they dare to stand against the Zephyrian Empire." A collective clicking filled the chamber, the sound of 100 mandibles expressing disbelief. The humans were a young species, barely 3 centuries into space travel. Their technology was primitive by galactic standards, their ships crude amalgamations of metal and desperation. How could they possibly consider resistance against an empire that had conquered 12 star systems? "Perhaps," suggested War Speaker Telanu, her scarred carapace bearing testament to countless battles, "we have underestimated their capacity for reason. Surely, when they see Korthak Prime himself, they will reconsider." The name sent a ripple of reverence through the assembly. Korthak Prime, the destroyer of worlds, the breaker of species, the warlord whose very presence had caused the proud Altarian Republic to surrender without firing a shot. If any being in the galaxy could make the humans see the futility of resistance, it would be him. "It is decided," Admiral Vexkar declared. "We send Korthak Prime to the human homeworld. Let them gaze upon our greatest warrior and understand the magnitude of their folly." 3 days later, the dreadnought Eternal Dominance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. The vessel was a monument to Zephyrian military might, 2 kilometers of reinforced battle steel bristling with weapons capable of cracking continents. At its heart, in the command throne that had overseen the subjugation of entire civilizations, sat Korthak Prime. The Warlord was an imposing figure, even by Zephyrian standards. His exoskeleton bore the ritualistic scars of 10,000 battles, each mark representing a conquered world. His 6 arms were augmented with combat implants that could crush Duralloy with a thought, and his compound eyes held the cold certainty of absolute victory. "Hail the humans," Korthak Prime commanded, his voice like grinding stone. "Let them witness their doom." The human response came within minutes, a single transmission from a modest-looking vessel that had seemingly appeared from nowhere to intercept them. The ship bore no intimidating weapons, no impressive bulk. It was, by all appearances, unremarkable. The transmission resolved into the image of a human male, middle-aged by their standards, wearing what appeared to be a simple military uniform. His hair was graying at the temples, and he possessed an expression that Korthak Prime found perplexing. The human was smiling. "Greetings," the human said pleasantly. "I'm Captain Marcus Chen of the Earth Defense Corps. I understand you'd like to have a conversation about our surrender." Korthak Prime leaned forward in his command throne. "I am Korthak Prime, destroyer of worlds, first warlord of the Zephyrian Empire. I have come to accept your species' unconditional surrender. You will—" "Oh, you're their greatest warlord," Captain Chen interrupted, his smile widening. "That's wonderful, really it is. I was hoping we'd get to meet someone important." The casual dismissal struck Korthak Prime like a physical blow. In 3 millennia of conquest, no being had ever interrupted him, let alone smiled while doing so. "You dare—" "Now, before we continue," Captain Chen said, raising a hand, "I should mention that we've been monitoring your approach for some time. Impressive ship, really. Probably took your entire fleet-building capacity for, 15 years to construct?" Something cold formed in Korthak Prime's thoracic cavity. "How do you—" "We also know about your victory at Altair Prime, Captain," Chen continued conversationally. "Brilliant tactical display. The way you positioned your dreadnoughts to exploit their defensive grid's blind spots. Textbook asymmetric warfare. Our Naval Academy actually uses it as a case study now." The Warlord's combat-enhanced reflexes were screaming warnings. This was wrong. Prey species didn't analyze predator tactics with academic interest. They cowered. They begged. They certainly didn't discuss naval academies while facing imminent annihilation. You think your pathetic knowledge will save you? Korthak Prime snarled. I have broken species far more advanced than yours. The Altarians had quantum-fold shields. The Nemesis collective could manipulate gravity itself. What do you miserable apes possess that could possibly— Time, Captain Chen said simply. The word hung in the void between them like a blade. See, the thing about humans, Captain Chen continued, his smile never wavering, is that we're remarkable students. Every species you've conquered, every tactic you've employed, every technological advancement your empire has made, we've been watching, learning, adapting. Korthak Prime's sensor arrays suddenly screamed alerts. Energy. Signatures were materializing throughout the solar system. Dozens of them, hundreds of them. Ships were decloaking from positions that should have been impossible to maintain, emerging from what his instruments had read as empty space, asteroid fields, and even the solar corona itself. You see, Captain Chen explained as if discussing, the weather. While you were conquering 12 star systems over 3,000 years, we spent 300 years doing something you've never had to do, evolve under pressure. Every human conflict, every war, every battle has made us better at the one thing we truly excel at. The tactical display showed a formation that defied everything Korthak Prime understood about space warfare. Human ships surrounded his dreadnought, in a three-dimensional net that seemed to anticipate every possible escape vector, every potential tactical response. The positioning was flawless, a mathematical perfection that spoke of minds that had studied not just Zephyrian combat doctrine, but the doctrine of every species the Zephyrians had ever defeated, fighting, Captain Chen concluded. Korthak Prime stared at the display, his ancient mind struggling to process the tactical situation. Every ship in the human formation was smaller than his dreadnought, yet their combined firepower readings suggested something impossible. They weren't just matching his vessel's capabilities, they were exceeding them. This is impossible, he whispered. You know what's funny about conquest? Captain Chen asked, his expression growing thoughtful. It makes you strong, but it also makes you predictable. You develop patterns, standard approaches, tried and true methods, but defense, real defense, survival defense, that makes you creative. The human captain leaned back in his chair. Every species you conquered taught us something new about warfare. The Altarian quantum fold principles gave us our stealth technology. Nemesis gravity manipulation helped us perfect our positioning systems. Your own battle records transmitted back to Zephyr Prime after each victory provided excellent insights into your tactical preferences. Korthak Prime felt something he had not experienced in millennia. Uncertainty. What do you want? Oh, we don't want anything, Captain Chen replied cheerfully. We're quite content with our little corner of the galaxy. But you see, we have this philosophical problem with conquest-based empires. They tend to be rather limiting for the galaxy's creative potential. The Warlord's tactical systems finally completed their analysis of the human formation, and the results sent ice through his exoskeleton. Not only were his escape routes blocked, but the humans had positioned their vessels in a pattern that would turn his own weapons against him if he attempted to fire on any single target. It was a masterwork of tactical mathematics that would have impressed the greatest strategic minds in galactic history. So here's what's going to happen, Captain Chen continued. You're going to return to Zephyr Prime and inform the Admiral that the humans decline their kind offer of subjugation. You're going to recommend that they find a more productive use for their time, perhaps scientific research or art or philosophy, and you're going to suggest that attempting to conquer any more worlds might prove inadvisable. Korthak Prime's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter or desperation. And if we refuse? Captain Chen's smile took on a different quality, still pleasant but with an edge that spoke of depths the Warlord was only beginning to comprehend. Well, then you'll discover what 3 centuries of continuous warfare and a thoroughly irritated species can accomplish when properly motivated. The human captain paused, then added almost as an afterthought, Oh, and Korthak Prime? When you're composing your report, you might want to mention that this was just the local defense force. The real fleet is currently exploring the outer rim. As the human transmission ended, and the Eternal Dominance found itself escorted to the system's edge by a formation of vessels that had seemingly materialized from pure mathematics, Korthak Prime contemplated the uncomfortable truth he would have to report to Admiral Vexikar. They had sent their greatest warlord to intimidate the humans. The human had smiled and asked if that was all, and in that smile lay the promise of a species that viewed the galaxy's greatest military threat as merely an interesting tactical problem to be solved.